Is the frequency in use? I thought not. This is K4PEW net control for the Mount Juliet Simplex Radio Net. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? Very good. Didn't think there was going to be any of that either, but if you have an emergency, please call 911 first if you're able. If not, just jump in here and cry for help. We'll be happy to try to help you any way we can, including getting on the radio or calling, making a phone call, or stopping by your place. You may break for any time for priority or emergency traffic. You can see us on YouTube right now, looking up the word Brain Trusts, BRAINTRUSTS, or my call, which is Kilo 4 Papa Echo Whiskey. Or you can look us some information on the web at 146415.net, 146415.net, or you can look us up on groups.io, groups.io, and look under the term MJSS, which is Mount Juliet Simplex Society. Or you can just send me an email at k4pew@arrl.net. We normally meet at 8 p.m. every Wednesday and Saturday night, and we conduct the net on 146.415 if you weren't already familiar with that frequency. And of course, that's FM Simplex. Purpose of the net is to have fun, to help each other do better, so we can compare notes and brag about how well we hear or don't hear, how well other stations are, and we help each other get better stations. So we have more fun and we can be better service to the community in the rare event that we have to do that. We invited everyone to use the net to announce amateur radio events, of which I have the big ones are tonight. Of course, we have the 2-meter net on this frequency. That's on FM. Also, we have a 10-meter net following that. 10-meter upper sideband on 28.415, 28.415. And also there's another 10-meter net we do on Sunday nights at 7:30 p.m. on the same frequency, 28.415. So I send out reminders about that on the reflector, so you don't have to remember if you have an email address. At least if you have it on groups.io, you'll get that out. Also tomorrow night, the Wilson County Amateur Radio Club has a net on 147.105 plus offset in a 156.7 PL. And they do that every Thursday night. That's an information net. Be sure just to be ready with your name and to have a good time, and your call, of course. Anybody who's listening who doesn't have a ham radio license should go and get one, but you can listen to any of us at any time. Of course, you probably already knew that if you're a lurker or sandbagger or scanner listener. Does anybody need any information on those little events, or have an announcement other than those? All right, the only one I had that was extra that I looked up today was the Cave City Hamfest is March the 7th, March the 7th. And that's at 8 o'clock in Cave City, Kentucky. I plan on going, but that doesn't mean I am going. You never know. When you're married, you don't ever know what you're doing in the future. All righty. Any other questions about this net, the following, the preceding announcements? All righty. Then we're going to start taking check-ins again. This is not again. We're starting from the east, and this is net number 561. Anybody from the east, please come now.
WA4ZHI.
Hey, James, what's up?
Not much up. Just a little rain come down.
A little. I don't know what area you live in, but it's been a lot.
So it's 2 or 3 feet deep.
What's 2 or 3 feet deep?
Just exaggerating.
Oh, I don't know. I know. I know my pond's as full as it's ever been. I'll have to ask Robin if he gets on. He's got a big pond in his yard. I bet you it's overflowing. Yeah, it's kind of soggy out there. I know you're not out there on the lawn.
I'm looking out the back door. It's probably just a few inches deep out here.
Do you really have that much water in your yard?
Yeah, it's probably 4 or 5 inches.
Oh my gosh! You sure you don't live on the river?
No, I kind of live in a hill and a valley in the same place.
Wow. How long is it going to take to run off, do you know?
Just minutes.
Oh, okay. Very good. Yeah. I don't have that problem. My house, back of my lot slopes backwards and the front of my lot slopes toward the road. So unless we get a real bad flood, I'm not having any problems.
Well, mine slopes too, but it gathers for a few seconds or a few minutes before it gets down to the road.
Well, I did notice in a couple of depressions in the front yard, wasn't today. It was the other day when it was raining real hard. That I saw ponding. I don't remember seeing ponding in those areas before it rained so much. The ground is so soaked.
Yeah, it was raining so hard a little while ago. I could hear it with all the doors closed and everything, just through the windows and the doors.
Yep. Yeah, we need to start building our arcs now. Well, very good, James. Good to have you in there. Of course, that's James. He's been with us a long time, and he is often at our breakfast. In fact, usually, I should say. That's Whiskey Alpha 4 Zulu Hotel India, and he's here in Mount Juliet, just a little bit northeast of the Mount Juliet Library. Who else is east? Anybody east? Please come on. Now, that's pretty slim. They're probably waiting until later. Well, starting from the north. Maybe I should tell when we're going to be, what we're going to be starting with. From the north, please come on.
KB9RKK.
All right, Frank, KB9RKK. Boy, we're running slim today, it sounds like. How are you doing, Frank?
Well, doing good. I wish the rain would stop. I wish the noise would stop. I was talking to Brent yesterday, it was yesterday, and comparing notes. But I found the frequency. It's 418. On 418, there is a constant noise source all day, all night. It wasn't there before. At least I never heard it before. But the last few, nets, I'm like, what is this noise? It's, I can't hear anybody anymore except for the really strong stations. And he said he's getting the same thing. It's right between 410. Well, it goes away if you go to 410, and it goes away if you go to 425. But between those two, there's this constant noise, and it's centered right on 418 on my spectrum scope. You can see it tracks.
Well, there's something in your neighborhood, isn't it?
He's wondering if it's the radar, weather station.
Well, that usually you'd hear sweeping. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard that before, haven't you?
I've heard sweeping before on the HF bands, where on certain ones where it's going right across the whole band. It was weird.
Well, in this case, usually the ones I've heard, they come, it sounds just like you'd think a radar was coming around. It comes around and gives you that. These times it comes around, it's rare. It's a pretty duplicate sound, like similar to that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't think that's it. But I thought it was my computer. No, I thought it was the fans in the house. No, I'm still trying to figure out what it is. It goes away if you don't turn on the preamp. It kind of goes down quite a bit. If you turn on the attenuator, it's gone. But then you're attenuating everybody else too.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't imagine, unless it is something at the weather station that's just giving you problems for whether it's one of their just hasn't having to do with the radar. It has nothing to do with the sweep itself.
Well, he's closer to it than I am. I mean, I can see it from our subdivision. If I go to the corner and look through the trees, you can see that, we're, it's kind of like down the hill, but it's there. But again, it's weird. Now, what I haven't tried doing is using my other radio. I could try pulling that out and see if it's just peculiar to this thing because it's more sensitive.
You tried changing out your mic cord?
Why, does it make a noise again?
No, I'm just wondering. Sometimes, the mic cord, it could act as an antenna for something else.
Yeah, it's true. It's just weird that it's right on. It seems it's right on 415. 418 to be exact. But it's like you couldn't pick another frequency like one we don't use.
That's right. Well, I don't know. You're going to have to narrow it down. What you need to do is just coordinate with all your neighbors within about a quarter mile and have them selectively turn off all their power.
Yeah, the thing is, I tried the HT thing. The HT is not picking it up. I don't think it's, I'm making the assumption that it's in my attic. I got the attic antenna, and I'm hoping when I move it outside, it's going to go away. But when Brent told me that he was having a similar issue, I'm like, it's not good.
No, but he's having a similar. Well, I doubt it's the mic cord. Then it's something else in the neighborhood. A transformer, maybe. It's hard to imagine, but I guess it could happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a constant, almost like when somebody's transmitting and not quite making it through. That's what it sounds like a constant weak signal that's just not coming in all the way, and it's only on this frequency basically.
Yeah, I got you. I don't know. I don't think I can help you with that one, but sounds like you're at least got it narrowed down to the frequency, and you don't know which direction. Obviously, if you had a handheld handheld antenna that you could hook up to your nicer radio that would pick it up, that would probably be helpful.
Yeah, and and I'm going to try some experiments now that I know, that somebody else is here. That he's like maybe maybe a mile or so away from me. He's further west, but he's closer to the weather station. I can't walk to it or nothing, but I can see it. I think he's a lot closer to it, but I don't know. Maybe we're just making that assumption and it has nothing to do with it. So I'm just throwing it out there in case anybody else is having that issue. It'd be interesting to see if they're getting a noise between 412 and 424 is where the peak is in there, and it looks like it's 418.
All righty. Well, hope you get it figured out. That was Frank. He's got a great signal here, though, nice and clean. That's Kilo Bravo 9 Romeo Kilo Kilo. He's in northwest Mount Juliet, up near the weather station, having some issues on 418, 146, 418. So if anybody else is having that issue up there, let me know, or let him know. All righty. Who else north? That's good to have you in there, Frank. Who else is in there? North?
KN4FKV, the old man on the lake.
Hey, how are you doing? Gosh, I forgot your name momentarily. Say it one more time. Otis, is that it?
You got it.
Oh boy, my memory's better than I thought it was.
Yeah, everything's fine over here. I'm able to stay awake now past 8 o'clock, up to 8 o'clock anyway.
Well, you're doing good. You're doing good. I have trouble staying up late sometimes, and I'm about 20 years your junior.
Yeah, a couple of naps in the daytime doesn't hurt.
No, I took one. It was decent enough, though. Every time I fall asleep like that on a sofa, the dog crawls up and sleeps on my chest.
Yeah, I have that problem too. I got a big old 130-pound hound that wants to get in my lap a lot of times.
No, this is a small dog. If I had 130 pound, I would suffocate.
They find a way of getting comfortable in your lap, and you let them stay there and rub on a while, and then they leave.
I got you. Dogs are a real comfort, aren't they?
Yeah, they attach to people pretty fast too.
Oh yeah. Have you ever been over to the Mount Juliet, that shelter for retired dogs?
No, but I would like to get over there sometime.
It's on Lebanon Road. Look it up. It's called Old Friends. Oh gosh, Old Friends. Well, it's listed under Old Friends if you look it up on the web or ask somebody, or I'll send you the link. Or anyway, it's for retirees, for dogs that are, they're either their owners passed away or the owners had to give them up because they moved to a retirement facility, or the owners moved away and couldn't take dogs with them, or so. And most of the dogs are somewhere between the ages of 10 and 17.
Oh, that would make me too sad. I wouldn't want to go there then. I feel sorry about dogs having to lose a master or something.
Oh yeah, no, it's quite a nice place though. In fact, they're building a new place on Nonaville Road that's about 20,000 square foot just for the dogs. So it's really, really good. Well, good to have you in there, Otis. I'm glad you could stay up for us. Otis is probably he is our oldest member that I'm aware of, unless somebody's hiding their age. He's 90. How old is it, Otis? 93?
93.
Boy, memory is good. Very good. 93 years old, still on the radio. Kilo November 4, Foxtrot Alpha X-ray. Good to have you get in there again, Otis. Who else is north? Please come in. Anybody else north? Got nothing. We're going over the west.
November 4, Delta Kilo 4 Alpha Lima.
Yeah, I heard you in there, Don. Also, I got November Kilo 4 Alpha Lima. Hold on one second. How you doing, Don?
Good evening, Paul, and everybody on that. Good. Just sitting here listening to the rain. I got the window open here in the shack. And, had a good gust when that front came through today, and watched my antennas do the dance that they do. And yeah, it's kind of where I'm sitting. I haven't really done much radio stuff this week so far, and maybe get some in Saturday and Sunday if the weather holds, and we'll see how we go.
Oh yeah, well, it's pretty soggy weather to be out doing anything in the yard. That's for sure.
Yeah, it'll probably take a few days for my yard to dry out. So, like I said, I'm kind of playing it by ear. My new Yagi should be delivered on Friday. That's what UPS was telling me. So that's a win. Happy Valentine's Day to me.
Oh yeah, no, that'll be great. Yeah, that'll be good. And now forget now, which Yagi is that?
It's the Narvasa 5 by JK Antennas. It's a 2-element regular Yagi. It goes from 20 to 10. You can get the 6-meter element, but I didn't need it because I already have the 6-meter 5-element that's going to go up on top of it.
So it's 10. Is it 10, 12, 15, and 20? 10,
12, 15, 17, and 20.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you're gonna be a busy boy when the bands get better. Maybe a busy boy now.
Yeah, I've been busy now. I mean, 20 is always, 20 is always open somewhere. And 17's been really good. And 15, it comes and goes. Even with my vertical, I still making contacts. Not this week, though. It's been horrible. But, it depends on, conditions. You got to be patient and wait. And that's kind of what I do for 15 right now. I just tune the radio up on 15 meters. And while I'm doing my work, I just glance over and see if there's any openings.
I gotcha. Well, let's hope things clear up. I mean, that's going to be the first thing we got to think about. And hope for the bands get better in a hurry. Pray for sunspots. That was November 4, Delta, Juliet Tango. It's Don. He's over in Bon Aqua. Good signal. Waiting for his multi-band antenna for 10 through 20. That'll be exciting to hear the results of that. Michael, I think it's Michael, Kilo 4 Alpha Lima. Is that correct?
Oh, I go by my middle name, Alan, Alpha Lima, Lima Echo November. But just sitting in there in the shack, I just had the rig on, and I'm terrible about remembering when nets are and all that. Heard the squelch crack, so I couldn't resist. But
oh no, I understand. Yeah, but you're not on the mailing list then, are you, for the reminders?
oh, okay. Well, I mean, I guess I need to go on the mailing list. But anywho, sitting in here, I was actually in the shack because the Santa Claus didn't bring a new computer, and this thing is, man, it must be 10 years old, and it's showing it. I can barely run WSJT and the logging software at the same time, and it's just gotten so frustrating. I gave up. About time to put together a new machine, I think.
Oh yeah, well, unfortunately, you can buy a pretty nice machine relatively inexpensively these days.
I think, what I usually do is I go ahead and build a pretty good machine, and it generally lasts me a few more years than if you just kind of get by. So I think that's what I'm going to do is just go ahead and build a decent machine with plenty of USB ports and all that, because boy, I tell you what, everything seems to be going that way, and then hopefully it'll last throughout the ages, if you know what I mean. But I got to tell you, it's one of those expenses I just didn't want to have to spend. And tax season's coming. I'm trying to run all this different software, and it's just not working. And I said, that's it.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I've done similar things. I bought a machine. It'll be 8 years ago, June, and at the time I said, "Man, this machine is killer," and it was. It's a i7 processor, one of the early models, and I put 16 gigabytes of RAM in it, and it had a 1 terabyte hard drive, and I store things offsite, and to an off, a secondary drive on the machine, and so it doesn't jam up the hard drive. I've got quite a bit saved. But what I'm saying is that I think might have been $1,100 for that machine 8 years ago. Well, divide 1,100 by 8 years, and I've saved an awful lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the way it really works out. And since I'm away from home so much and I have to access this machine remotely, it makes a big difference. So I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet. Actually thought about my youngest son. He's a computer guy. He's away from home now, but he kind of does that VR stuff and all that. And I thought about going and building him a machine and trading it out for his other machine, which is more than adequate for my ham radio stuff and all that. But then I thought, what am I thinking? He's away from home now. That's his business.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and again, buying a good quality machine is, it's like anything else. You get what you pay for. And long term, I'm glad I bought the fairly expensive, at the time, it was a fairly expensive, machine with a good everything on it with multiple. I even added USB ports to it, a USB card.
Oh, there you go. And that's one of the main things. I need to get a lot of USB ports because so much of the peripheral stuff now is USB. Back when I built this machine, it was all serial and some of it was parallel and all that. Now people look at you like you're crazy if you talk about that. So anyway, I'm actually getting quite a bit of rain static on the rig here, so must be raining pretty good in the Hermitage area. Not so much here in Alexandria though.
Or in between, I don't know. You're connecting that how? How are you doing that remote rig, over the internet?
Yeah, it's over the internet. It's Flex Radio, so it kind of goes hand in hand. It's just the way it all works. But last night I was. This is the bad thing. You're so reliant on the internet now. Last night I was working the rig about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then just Comcast went down for 4 hours, and then it's almost like you have no rig,
That's right. Well, you would that's right. With a rig like that, you're right, an SDR rig, but with the internet, yeah. The only thing I'd be out obviously is my internet connection, and I guess I could probably keep that up if I had my modem on backup power, which I've considered doing.
Well, there you go. One of these times I'm going to have to find somebody around here who's hooked up some solar stuff to pick his brain, because I'm thinking about maybe doing that this year.
Oh yeah, that's an expensive proposition. Huh?
Yeah, well, as it turns out, the government's paying back some of it this year. But anyway, my main concern is some of these inverters are very noisy on the RF spectrum. So, and then I know the other gentleman was talking about how he's got some RFI from somewhere, who knows where. And I have the same situation where this rig is at. It was very, very quiet about 15 years ago, and now I can swing the beam, and I mean, I get some spikes from pretty obvious. It's probably some stuff that's digital in nature. Who knows what all it could be, but very, very, very noisy. So I got to get everything back over this way where I can control it more and not be in a subdivision, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, no, I know what you're saying. You're hoping to bring that station back to your house soon?
Well, Wes was trying to shame me into putting up a decent antenna. He said, we're going to have to get over there and put you up a decent antenna. I think that was kind of a hint saying, hey, man, get off your rear end, and you got all that space, you got a tower. We just need to get the metal in the air,
No, it's true. In fact, when I got my new antenna, Wes was the first one over here helping me put it up.
There you go. See, I'm just waiting where I can get a little bit older and everybody will have pity on me and come over here. K4AL.
Yeah, I got you. Well, what you say is, listen, I'd really like to put up a tower, but I'm unable to, and then you'll get several volunteers.
Actually, I just need the time. I've got everything. I just need the time and to get together with somebody to, anyway, help me get it all up in the air. And geez, I don't even know what the permitting is like now, because Wilson County back in the old days was, who cared? But now I don't know.
Now, I don't think you're going to have a problem I don't think you are, but obviously you're going to have to check with them. Well, very good. Good to have you in there, Al. I'm sorry about the first name. I should remember, since your call ends in AL, and I just presume you put it there for a reason.
That's the funny thing, is I did not. I was WB for Echo Charlie Romeo, and then when I got into Meteor Scatter, it was just way too long of a call sign because the bursts of data are so short. And this call sign just popped up. It was available, and it was really good on CW. I'm a CW operator. Never in a million years did it cross my mind that it kind of coincided with the name that I go by. And so a lot of people assume that I picked this call because of Alan, and it had nothing to do with it. Trust me.
Well, see, now that you said it, I'm going to forget that that's your name. No, I'll know that it's Alan now that I get that connection correct. That the AL doesn't stand for Alan, but that's what it's going to stand for in my memory bank.
There you go. So thanks a lot for getting the net going, and glad I could check in here. K4AL.
Very good. That was Alan. He's in Watertown with a remote station in Hermitage. His call is Kilo 4 Alpha Lima. And good to have you in there, of course, Alan. And yeah, when you need help, I'm confident there's more than a few people that come out to give you a hand when you get the time to do it and get your ducks in a row. Who else? Where was I? Yeah, west, north and west.
KN4TJF.
KN4TJF. How you doing there, Rick?
I'm doing good, man.
Did you put up any new antennas yet?
No, too wet and soggy.
You or outside?
Yeah, no, I haven't yet, but I'm working my way there.
No, I know you'll get there. Again, your signal's good tonight, in spite of, I don't know whether the weather helps or hinders.
Yeah, that's good. I think maybe the weather has got something to do with it, but everybody sounded good. I couldn't hear Alan, but I could hear a couple other people tonight that I haven't usually been able to hear.
Oh, very good. But everything else going well for you?
Yes, sir. No complaints.
All right, very good. You only give your complaints to your brother, Michael?
Yeah, I'm sure he's listening, but I'm not going to say anything about that right now.
All right. Well, very good. That's Rick. He's in Ashland City. It's Kilo November 4 Tango, Juliet, Foxtrot, good signal. Working on getting another antenna. He does well to me, but he's going to put up, not trying. He's going to be putting up a multi-element 2-meter antenna pointed in this, like a Yagi pointed in this direction for better reception and better transmission. So more people will be able to hear him. Anyway, he's working towards a good end there. Who else, north or west?
KM4YRF.
Hello, Michael.
Well, hello, Paul.
You doing any good today? Is it soggy at work? Is it muggy at work?
Yeah, it's a little damp at work. It's really damp outside, and kind of dampens your spirits a little bit if you let it.
Ah, you can't let it. Rain falls on the good and the bad, doesn't it?
It sure does. I'm just kind of trying to figure out which one I am.
Doesn't matter. It falls on both. What on those in the warehouse floors you got there with the traffic that comes in? Is it a slick concrete floor or is it kind of roughed up?
No, it's a slick concrete floor. But that's the only traffic we have through there. It's just employees.
Oh no, I just assumed it would be like the tow motors coming in and off the loading dock or whatever.
Oh yeah, we do all that.
Yeah, I just presume so. I worked in I did some work in a Coca-Cola bottling plant, and you could tell that the trucks, the tow motors, had the same paths for a long time, because where they had to do pivots around certain things inside the plant, it was like there was ditches in the concrete.
I can believe that.
Man, well, they did. This is one of these. It was a small plant too. But they did. And they weren't even at full. They were only at a third capacity, and they were doing 1 million 16-ounce or 1 liter. I forget what a 16-ounce or 1 liter bottles a day. 1 million.
That's a bunch.
Well, what's funny is with Coca-Cola, they were doing 1 million there. They were doing a couple million in Orlando. They were doing another couple million up in the Panhandle. And they were doing another 2 or 3 million down in South Florida, down near in Hollywood. And they still had to import Coca-Cola from adjoining states to supply Florida.
Wow, can you believe that many people are drinking that stuff?
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I do get it. It's just amazing to me that there's that many people that drink soft drinks. It's it's almost mind-boggling, really.
Well, you got that right. Anything going on special with you?
No. In fact, I got a free week. I say free. My weekend, my wife's going up to visit some friends up in Long Island this weekend from Friday through Monday. So I'm going to sleep all weekend.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. I'm going to try to get some rest this weekend as well. I don't guess I have anything else, so I'll say 7370 and back to that.
Very good. That was Michael in Belshire. Kilo Mike 4 Yankee Romeo Foxtrot. I did have something come up, man. I got my new refurbished 897D came back yesterday by a FedEx. So I haven't even plugged it in yet. So now I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, I only have, well, another one's out in the shop. So I have actually three HF rigs sitting here, and that's enough. Now I'll have 4 when the other one gets back. So I'm in Fat City here. Anyway, that was Kilo Mike 4 Yankee Romeo Foxtrot Mike in Belshire. Who else? North or west?
Whiskey 4 Alpha Whiskey Echo.
Hey, John. I was going to ask you a question, but I'll take it offline. You know, I got that software that does the, you know, you can take a regular USB video feed and an IP feed. You know, it's picture in picture, and I cannot get it to see the darn second, you know, the IP camera because it goes through the Wi-Fi on the modem, and I'll be darned if no matter which way I configure it, I can't get it to see that darn camera.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that software. I'm not aware of that software at all. Well, if in doubt, strip it down to the most basic, you know, disconnect everything and try one thing at a time.
Well, it seems as though it just says IP camera not responding, and I, you know, in the network setup, you know, in the modem is where I get confused because I rarely do that, and it, you know, it's, you know, it says what's the address, and so I made up an IP address for it, you know, I mean, which was in line with the other IP addresses because I have like 6 connected devices. It's there. It shows up there in the modem's, you know, display, and but when I go to connect to it, it says will not respond, and I really don't know why, and I got to do a little more research because it is a picture-in-picture device.
You know, it might be a USB driver COM port conflict, or are you going through a router at the same time?
Yeah, see, I'm going through the Wi-Fi router because all you do on this particular little, it's a $49 camera that's got swivel and rotate and tilt. That's it. And it's really nice. It's perfect. I set it up and I can see what the output is, and it's really nice and clean and pretty. And and I can get it to do all the features except connect to the software it's supposed to connect to it. You with me? So, but it's going through the router. And like I said, I gave it all the what I thought was the proper addresses and passwords and all that stuff. And you think it would connect right up? No. The only connection on this camera, just to be clear, it does require constant, you know, 5-volt USB power, but that's not the connection on any USB port, you know, as far as the router goes.
Yeah, I just anytime I see something like that happening, the first thing I always am suspicious of is to go into Device Manager and start looking at USB drivers.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Maybe that's, I don't know. I'll figure it out. One way or the other, I'll figure. Maybe I'll just go on a forum on the website for the company that does that. By the way, that one, this particular one is Manycam, MANYCAM. And I haven't gotten the premium. I haven't got the paid edition yet. I'm just trying to set it up. And if it works, I'll buy it. If it doesn't work, I guess I'll have to try something else. But anyway, I'm using the mirror now, and the mirror works fair.
Yeah, but you know, I sure do like that analog mirror approach, as long as you don't knock them over.
Well, I can't sneeze or it'll fall over and my whole setup falls apart.
Yeah, just email me a link to that software later, and I'll take a look at it.
All righty, sounds good, John. That was John, Whiskey 4 Alpha Whiskey Echo. Got quite a bit of experience in video / audio / production / software, etc. It's been a big help. Anyway, John, Whiskey 4 Alpha Whiskey Echo in Bellevue. Who else, west or north, please come in? Anybody else west? Down to the south.
Kilo Oscar 4 Bravo Oscar.
Kilo Bravo 4 Oscar. Yeah, go ahead. Where are you located? I forget.
Kilo Oscar 4 Bravo Oscar. I'm out here on Percy Priest Lake on my ARC right now.
Oh, that's right. They must be dumping that damn something fierce right now.
We're looking at a 6-foot rise before dawn. They've had everybody move their cars. Quite possible they'll close the lake and have to evacuate everybody.
I'm telling you, this is I'm pretty sure I'm correct. I didn't check with the weather service, but I've lived here for 8 years as of February, like this month. And this is the most rain we've had in one season since I've been here.
It's pretty moist outside. I have a John boat. I've had to go pump out twice today. So.
All right. Did I get your call? Is it's Kilo Oscar 4 Oscar Oscar or Kilo Bravo 4 Oscar Oscar?
Kilo Oscar 4 Bravo Oscar Oscar.
Yeah, I got the numbers. It's like I have dyslexia here. Kilo Oscar 4 Bravo Oscar Oscar. That's right. I got it now. Very good. Yeah, I can imagine. I haven't been by the dam, but I was telling my wife, I said, man, there are some streams that are overflowing this day.
At least it was I got to watch the motorcycle on the drive home, so that's good.
So you're a liveaboard, are you always?
No, I share an apartment in Bellevue. You can't live aboard on a Corvette Junior Lake.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh. That's funny. You can't live aboard on it. That's interesting. Because what if you do? What if you have like for instance, I knew a fellow who lived on a river that feeds out to the Gulf of Mexico, and that river was heavily modified by guess who? Corps of Engineers.
As far as I know, open water, like rivers, you can live aboard. I don't know. The boat I bought is on Percy Creek, so I just come out here and spend, every moment I can.
Yeah, very good. How long have you lived on that boat? I mean, at least part-time.
I think 2, 3 years. This will be the third winter we've had it, I believe.
Right. Forgive me, but you go by the first name of Warren?
It's not Larry.
Larry. That's right. It's not Larry. How could I forget that? Man, oh man. Because I got a not memory. That's why.
It could be the age. I'm just saying, when you get up around my age or yours, things tend to fall away.
Oh, they do. Believe me. That's why it's a challenge. I kind of enjoy the challenge, so I can. It's kind of a test of my memory a lot of times, and I do like to, manipulate things, ideas and words in my brain because I want to keep it active because I have noticed my memory's been slipping since, I guess after I hit 60 something, and I'm 70 something, well, so just a little over 70. So I know what you're saying. Not Larry.
I went out and learned to solve a Rubik's Cube about 3 months ago. That helped.
Oh yeah, well I do word puzzles and I take great fun in trying to remember things either from the past or from things that transpired that my wife and I do, whether it's music or whatever. So yeah, it's and being active on a computer helps too, and keeping up with current events I think helps out with the memory.
As long as you remember it's Wednesday night at 8 p.m., that works.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Wednesday night and Saturday night. That's right. I keep a pretty active log in terms of what's in the database that we have here on the calendar, so reminders go out to everybody. So, well, very good. Appreciate you being there, not Larry. That was Kilo Oscar 4 Bravo Oscar on Percy Priest Lake, not near, on Percy Priest Lake, at least as long as they'll let them. Who else we got? West or north? No, we're going to south. That's right, south.
KD4ZGY 4 Delta.
I heard 4 Delta. Hold on one second. I heard I got Ed in there in Shake Rag. What's up?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kilo Delta 4 Zulu Golf Yankee. Yeah, there's been a lot of rain. I heard y'all been talking about the rain. Of course, there's a big river run through Shelbyville down here called the Duck River there. It's been up and down, but I think that what I heard the other day that had so much rain in Tennessee now that the catfish started climbing trees.
The walking catfish are running?
I reckon. I don't know. Anyway, they're good evening to you, Paul, and everyone on the net. I'll sneak out of here and let that other person check in with you as well. Have a great night and enjoy listening. KD4ZGY.
Yeah, very good, Ed. Ed, good to have you in there. That's Ed in Shake Rag down near Shelbyville. Kilo Delta 4 Zulu Golf Yankee with a very good signal for that distance. Who was that 4 Delta call? It's the only 2 letters, the only 2 ones I heard.
November India 4 Delta.
Oh, Carl. Okay, all I caught was the 4 Delta, and I'm pretty sure you're not the only 4 Delta on the planet.
No, sometimes it feels like it. It's lonely over here.
Lonely. Yeah, I guess if you're single, you won't be lonely, but if you're married, you might be.
The wife's with the grandkids tonight, so it's a little bit on the lonely side and wet. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm doing great. November, yeah, it's 4 Delta. See, there's not enough letters in some of these vanity calls. That's why I get confused. Doing well. Did you do anything more with your second X700?
Oh yeah, we're still working on the HS side, the hex beam and the 160 inverted L and the OCF and all the little toys and trinkets that go along with it.
Yeah, that's enough. Are those all new to your location?
Yeah, I swapped out the other hex beam, the MFJ 1848 for a radio waves Sentinel with the 40-meter element on it, the broadband element. And, got a 160 inverted L up that we're trying to get tuned in, and an OCF that runs across the house. That's giving us a little bit of fit. We got to shorten that one up as well this coming weekend, but you know, it's kind of a nice change of pace. It's raining during the week now, and you know, kind of sunny on the weekends. But you just come in the house, you know, after a week of rain, looking like you've been in a mud wrestling contest, no matter what happened.
Yeah, well, we're supposed to not have any rain Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but it's going to be downright cold. At least Friday, Thursday, and Friday. Well, Thursday night and Friday, most of the day, it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, cold doesn't bother me. Maybe the ground will freeze up and I won't sink in up to my knees. I've gained a little weight over the years.
I don't think it would matter. You know, I lived in Florida for a long time, 37 years to be exact, almost 37. And we had rain where a storm front moved in across central Florida. And it sat there for more or less, I forget whether it was 4 or 5, 6 days. It was quite a phenomenon. I'd never seen it happen quite that way. And it was just a front that just kind of sat there. And or maybe it was several fronts, I don't know which, but it rained almost every day. And it was so you couldn't, I was going to mow the lawn, but I couldn't because it was raining. By the time it stopped raining, I had to go mow the lawn. And it was a push lawnmower, you know, gas lawnmower. And it couldn't, the grass was tall to begin with, and it took forever to mow it. And there was enough standing water. I kind of looked like one of those airboats.
Oh, that's awesome. But, you know, the biggest, I guess, recent water memory I've got was May of 2010, whenever we had that flood, and I was part of the Donaldson dozen that cracked up into that retaining wall out near the airport when the little idiot in the Volkswagen decided to cross 4 lanes into a concrete barrier and take everybody else out with him.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know. I wasn't here then. And did anybody get hurt?
No, I mean, a couple of folks went to the hospital. I kind of got out and shook it off. My daughter was with me, and it was funny because we were on the way to Mount Juliet to pick my son up from karate practice, and it busted out the back window and the tailgate window. So he used to sit in the back with rain coming in, and we couldn't get off of the interstate on our normal exit, so we had to go down to Oldsville and come back up across Old Hickory because it was flooded coming on the Concord Road. So he got to sit in the back for about 45 minutes to an hour in his little karate gi with nothing but rain coming in on top of him. And the car was totaled when it was all said and done, but it was not a fun day. It was, I think, May 2nd or so back in 2010.
Wow. Yeah, I remember we had a guy, due to some heavy rains, which were often happening in Florida, a guy with his family was in a hotel along the interstate. And at that point, there wasn't a fence between the interstate and the hotel lot, although there was no road either. Well, he drove right off of the parking lot and thinking it was a smooth surface because the water was so high in this huge, it's not really a ditch, it was more of a swale, you know, it was a big runoff adjacent to the highway, that it looked like roadway to him. So he drove over thinking he was getting on a road or an interstate and got into the water. His family survived and he didn't.
That's rough right there, man. I hate to hear that.
Oh yeah, no, it's just dumb. And I'm not saying it's dumb on his part. It's dumb that they don't have barriers at the time to prevent people from doing that. But you know, in Louisiana and Florida, people die every year going into ditches because they think it's a roadway because they don't realize there's nothing underneath that water.
Well, you know, at night when it's dark and everything's wet, the reflections are very, very destructive to me. Over.
Oh, I agree. I've made my errors in judgment when it's dark out and you know, moonless, starless nights, and yeah, you have a hard time discerning even when the road's starting to turn sometimes.
True story right there. And before you know it, it's all over with. That's the nice thing about being old, though. You can drive slower, and people really don't look at you funny for doing it anymore.
As long as you leave your blinker on.
Roger on that. But yeah, well, I don't have much more, and I know there's other folks kind of in the south regions probably want to get in, but I appreciate you for getting me in, Paul. Sound fine tonight. We got a little popcorn over here because of the rain and stuff, but overall, everybody sounding pretty reasonable coming into Brentwood this evening.
Ah, very good. But partially, you're doing some heavy lifting yourself with that well-placed X700 antenna. That was Carl, November India 4 Delta, and he's in Brentwood. See, I haven't remembered that tonight. Who else, west or south?
Kilo.
I had a seriously ugly double in there, but I did hear Larry. Kilo India 4 Sierra Yankee Victor. How you doing, Larry?
I'm doing all right, man. Had a little horse there, so it might have been me. I don't know, but we'll let you get on with it. KE4SYV.
Yeah, I got you. I'm going to get, no, what happened was somebody else keyed up, like either on top of you or after you, and it was just stayed keyed, and I don't think they realized they had done it. Anyway, good to have you in there, Larry. That's Larry, Kilo India 4 Sierra Yankee Victor, and he is in Rockvale. Who else was that in there, south?
Might have been me. K1SPD.
Oh, I don't know. Couldn't tell. I couldn't. I can only tell if you're in your car if it's you.
Yeah, well, I've heard it so often now I don't even hear it.
Nah, it's not a big deal, really. I wouldn't worry about it. Have you tried to use a different handheld?
Yeah, sure did. And it's got something to do with the coupon.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I'd have to just be trial and error on my part. Well, very good. Anything else good for the net you're working on?
Nope, not a thing.
All right.
We're doing 10-meter sideband. We're going to attempt that.
Oh yeah, we're doing 10-meter sideband, following the 2-meter net. Yes, sir.
Good deal. K1SPD.
All right, we'll catch you later, Scott. That's Kilo 1 Sierra Papa Delta in Laverne. His name is Scott. Good signal. Waiting for the 10-meter portion of the net that follows. Who else is south or west?
Kilo India 4, November, Delta, November.
Yeah, you on low power again, David?
Yes, sir. I sure am. I need to boost it up.
Yeah, you're not hurting me. You're just hurting everybody else.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. I boosted the power. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. You getting up rain down there?
Well, I tell you, I've been living at this spot for right at 30 years. Got a dry creek behind me, and it's been higher this last week than it has in 30 years.
Yeah, so you're proving my point. I mean, I've only been here for 8 years, and it just amazes me that it seemed to me that this was the heaviest rainfall season that I'd seen in 8 years.
Yeah, I'm kind of lucky. It runs off pretty quick here and doesn't really do any damage, but it gets your attention, if you know what I mean.
Oh, there's no question about it. You'll know if these conditions, if you got a leaky roof or poor drainage on your lot.
Well, I didn't say I didn't have a leaky roof, but the yard is a different thing.
Oh yeah, no. They had, again, I'm going back to a Florida story, but they had one of those, I forget which rainfall it was, and I don't remember what year, but it rained so heavily in Central Florida. It might have been that same time that front moved over and stayed for about a week. It rained so much that the interstate had to be closed because the Corps of Engineers, whoever did the surveying, did not realize that they did not make that part of the interstate high enough in that part of the around Plant City, Florida, if you know what that is. And they actually had to close the interstate, and then they had a detour on that part of the interstate for about, I forget how long, 2 weeks to redo the interstate. And so here's this millions of truck and car traffic between Orlando and Tampa having to use a regular surface routes instead of the interstate for, I don't remember if it was a month or how long it was, but they had to raise up the interstate and redo the whole drainage.
Oh, well, they learned a big lesson there, I'll bet, because even with everything running properly, it's still a mess off of there.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. It was a real shock to me that because Florida General does a pretty good job with, especially the interstate systems, and they're high and dry. But in this case, boy, somebody messed up with their calculations about not necessarily. I think they get messed up on the calculation was not necessarily about the road surface elevation. It was about they didn't anticipate how much water off of that watershed would be running through that area, and it just didn't accommodate it at all.
Yes, sir. How about, what is the name of that big bridge going down into Bradenton?
Oh, the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a terrible mission to get up to that height.
I don't think it's going to get that high. The Gulf of Mexico is going to have to raise up about 180 feet.
Yeah. Well, hey, I always try to make it a part of my trip when I go down that way to get over there and go across that bridge.
Oh, it's a pretty view up there. It really is. It's a very nice bridge. Well, very good. That's David, and he's in Reedyville. Good signal when he's on high power. Kilo India 4, November, Delta, November. In fact, he's got a decent signal on low power, but I'm just afraid that people can't hear him. I don't want to keep it just between me and him. Anyway, David again, Kilo India 4, November, Delta, November in Reedyville. Who else is south?
Kilo 4, Oscar, Fox, Oscar.
Hey, Donnie. I know you're soggy down there.
I've never seen as much water in my yard as I've got right now. First time seen since I've lived here, 18 years.
No, so you're proving my point. So my point is accurate. This is the most rain, at least in 8 years, is the most we've had. See, over the last 8 years, my little pond in the backyard, which isn't any bigger than about 35 square feet, I thought there was a leak in the pond because it just done kept, year by year, it kept on getting a little lower or staying the same. And it was down about, I'll say 6 inches from the rim. I thought, well, there must be a leak there. Well, guess what? That thing filled up this year and it stayed there.
I know everybody's having to suffer through it right now. Maybe we'll see a little break the next day or two.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we don't have any steep hills. We'd have mudslides.
Yeah, I know. Well, appreciate you doing that. I'll let you get on, get a few more tonight. Good to hear you on the net and everybody else. Thank you. I'll see you later.
Yeah, very good, Donnie. That was Donnie, Kilo 4, Oscar, Foxtrot, Oscar. He's in Hermitage, south of me, about 5 miles east of Mount Juliet Road. Who else is south?
W4 EBX.
Hey, boy, you just run in or what there? How you doing there, Eddie?
Well, I've been here the whole time. I've just been listening.
Yeah, so you're just practicing on being a lurker?
Yeah. Well, I hope everybody's doing okay, and I'm going to get used to this rain. I think it's going to be here for a little bit longer.
Oh, yeah, I know. Did you get over being ill, did you?
Yeah. I was kind of coming down with a little congestion, so didn't want to be around a lot of people.
Oh, I know. I don't blame you a bit. That's usually the things that cause all the contagion in people. I know what happened to me last time I got the flu about 6 years ago. I went out in the public and was eating something at I don't blame it on a certain person, but when you go to a buffet and you're handling all the serving instruments and plates and coffee and public stuff, you can kind of expect to get something if you're going to get the flu.
Yeah, it's very true. Then you got a lot of people that don't cover their costs, so it all adds up. Catching the flu when you're 71 years old, sometimes it can be pretty rough on you.
Oh yeah, that's why even this coronavirus they talk about. My wife and I were talking about it. She said, well, it sounds really ugly and nasty and it's going to kill lots of people. I said, well, yeah, it probably would. But the fact is, if you have, there's something only like 2% of those who get infected perish. Now, that's obviously not a good thing. But when you consider that the flu in this country, for just a normal flu, kills, I forget how many people a year, a couple thousand.
Yeah, there's a lot of different rumors going around, but I've been watching one doctor on the YouTube, Dr. John Campbell. He says you can catch it twice. You can get over it, and somebody in your family can have it, and you catch it again. But he says it's pretty serious. But they've got 200 people in Georgia that they're looking at right now that flew to Florida several weeks ago. Not Florida, but China several weeks ago. So at least they're keeping tabs on it.
I'm not even going to look at China on a map.
Oh, I know it.
I know, man. That's, yeah, I don't need no stinking flu. Well, very good, Eddie. If you find anything good about or bad about that, let me know. That's Eddie, Whiskey 4 Echo Bravo X-Ray, and he is there in Gladeville, just south of 40 and east of Mount Juliet Road, a couple miles. Who else? Anybody else late check-ins?
KN4FKV.
All right. right, he snuck in there. How you doing, Eddie? I'm Eddie. Jimmy?
Hey, Paul, how's it going? You staying dry over there?
I'm staying dry, but man, at Shevitz, there's a lot of water out there.
Yeah, it is pretty wet out there, but if you go to my little rain station, looks like we're going to wind up with about 2.75 inches of rain. But of course, that doesn't compare to May of 2010 when we had 14 to 16 inches of rain in 2 days.
Oh my gosh! Now you're reading what you just gave me on that 2 point something. Was it your station or is it at the weather station?
No, that's at my little weather station in the backyard.
Which one do you use?
It's a Vantage View weather station. It costs about, I don't know, $800.
How many?
800.
Oh boy, that's more. I'll just watch the weather underground. $800 a lot for a weather station, but then that's who you work for, isn't it?
Yeah, being a professional meteorologist or weather guesser or whatever you want to call it, yeah, I guess that was one of the first things I bought when I retired.
You know, we had I don't know if I mentioned to you before, when I was in the Navy, the quartermasters, and those are the people that help the navigator with navigation, among some other things on the bridge. But they also take weather information, wind speeds, wind velocities, and wind direction, and to go along with the latitude, longitude, as well as air temperatures, barometric pressures. And we used to say, and they send that into the Navy. Oh, I forget the department they called it, but I forget. And we sent in data too. We took water temperatures down to 1,500 feet every 4 hours, no matter where we were in the world, and we sent that data in. So the Navy's got a whole compilation of data for the last 65 years, 70 years, 80 years.
Yeah, we routinely, when I was in the weather service, we would routinely get, surface weather reports from ships at sea. But I don't think we ever got any upper air reports. I know they released balloons and took wind and temperature readings.
No, these were all just routine temperatures, right at the, well, it wasn't at the water level, but it was, on the bridge. They had a real nice thermometer. And I'm not sure how they did, if they did temperature and humidity, to tell you the truth. I don't remember ever seeing them using a sling psychrometer.
Yeah. My antenna is still at the same height, so maybe it's going to have to wait till spring to get it up any higher. But I'm still getting fairly good reception. I still don't have a copy of the guy in Bon Aqua. I can hear it crack the squelch, but that's about it.
I think with the height, you probably will. And now you're 60 over here to me, so I'm not going to be able to tell when you get it higher, okay?
I understand. Okay, back to you. I'll let you go on.
Yeah, very good. We'll catch you later. That was Jimmy, Kilo November 4 Lima X-Ray Hotel, with his $800 personal weather station. Man, I hope you're connected that to the internet. Whew. Okay, who else? Late check-ins, please come in.
Okay,
I know you've got $1,000 weather station over there, right?
No, but another one that Jimmy's talking about, that's a really nice weather station made by Davis Instruments.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, Davis is quality stuff. I've seen those. I've never purchased one. So, yeah, my weather station is I look out the window or I look on Weather Underground.
Yeah, Roger, follow up. I want to load you up, I can KM4HKV.
Yeah, very good. That was Stan, Kilo Mike 4 Hotel Quebec Echo. He's over there just north of downtown Lebanon. Lebanon. I gotta keep remembering it's not Lebanon. I've been here 8 years. Lebanon. Who else is late check-in or from anywhere?
Whiskey Delta 4, Bravo, Whiskey Charlie.
Man, your signal's so good, I didn't even know it was you. How you doing, Jeff?
Doing good, sir. Doing good. How are you?
Very good. How'd that net go last night?
I didn't get to do it because we were at the headquarters.
Headquarters, what's that, CIA?
Headquarters at Weimar.
Okay, very good. I wasn't on the net. I was unavailable, so that's why I was asking.
So, you missed it. We missed it. One big happy family.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why we hold them every week, or in our case, twice a week, because you can't catch them all.
Very true.
All right, very good. That was Jeff. He's also in Lebanon. Whiskey Delta 4 Bravo Whiskey Charlie. Great signal since he improved his. Got a new rig and a moved antenna. Is doing a great job. Anybody else late checking?
KE4TWF.
Hey, Wes. Down there. You're going to change that name to Flood Town down there, not Watertown.
We're doing good here. Not much to report. Just hanging out, listening. I'm on the back porch on the directional and the magnolia tree.
Yeah, see, it does pretty good, really, for something that's down there near ground level. How high up is it off the ground?
About 30 feet.
Oh, well, that's pretty good, but it's not real great for your location, 30 feet.
Yeah, I do what I can, though. I'm going to keep my stuff unplugged. I'm scared of the storm, so I won't be on the 10 meter net. KE4TWF.
Yeah, yes, you're not even showing up on the S meter, but I have fully good readable audio, so you're doing great. Very good. That was West, Kilo Echo 4 Tango Whiskey India in or near Watertown at an undisclosed back porch location. Who else is anywhere late? Any other late checking? Any other? We're going on to the lurkers, lollygaggers, sandbaggers, scanner listeners, SDR donglers, preppers, end time survivalists, and flat earthers. Nothing, and we're going to move on to the 10 meter net and again, that's 28.415. 28.415. I shall be there momentarily. I've got it in my memory bank here, and I'll be right there. K4PEW closing this portion of the net.
K4PW, K4AM.
K4AL, go ahead.
Who had the weather station?
That was Jimmy, KN4LXH, Kilo November 4 Lima X-Ray Hotel. And he's, I'm pretty sure his email is good on the web if you want to talk to him.
Okay, I'll talk to him when you close the net.
All right, sounds good. Jimmy, you want to hang around? Somebody wants to talk to you about your $800 weather station. All right, I'm moving over there now. It's K4PE.
This is KN4LXH. Go ahead.
Hey, this is Alan, K.
This is Kilo 4 Papa Echo Whiskey on the 10 meter side of the Mount Juliet Simplex Radio Net. We'll do the same thing. We're going to start it from the east. Please come now. Any stations from the east, please come now. Any stations from the north, please come now.
KB9 RKK.
All right, I got you in there, Frank. KB9 RKK. Sounds good. Good signal. Who else north? Anybody else north? Anybody else west? Please come now. All righty. Oh, I got you in there, Mike. I heard somebody else who was a double in there. Who was that other station? November India 4 Delta. A little low on the signal. Are you using a different antenna than before, or is that your new off-center fin? Okay, very good. No, I got you in there. The signal's just a little low. Of course, I'm vertical, and your wire, I presume, is horizontal. No, I got good copy on you. I just have to listen a little more closely. That's all. It's just a little low, but you're doing fine. You're doing fine, Carl. Anyway, who else west? Please come in. Anybody else west or south? Very good. I got you in there, John. Who else west or south? Hey, Kilo 1 Sierra Papa Delta. Got you in there, Scott. Is there anyone else west, south, or east?
KB4 RSM.
Hey, KB4 RSM. I didn't hear you in there earlier. You missed the 2 meter side.
Yeah, I just came in Paul, right at the very, very end of it, and just jumped over here to catch you guys.
I'll clock you in over there if you want to get back over there later. You're doing all right?
Doing pretty good, yeah. Just trying to stay dry. That's kind of hard to do right now, but looking forward to some warmer, drier weather.
Yeah, well, got to take the good with the bad. But you didn't hear me earlier. Somebody was complaining. I said, well, the rain falls on the good and the bad.
There you go.
Yeah, very good. All right, good to hear you in there, Glenn. Who else? We got anybody else? North, south, east, or west? Kilo Hector 4 Delta Echo Zulu. I got you in there, but there was a double ARRL. Who was the other double? Who was the other station just now besides ARRL? KM4HQ. I got you. HQE. I got you in there, Stan. Sound good. Who else is in there? All righty. We got Kilo Oscar 4. I'm sorry. I'm going to get that right one of these days. It's Kilo Oscar 4. Bravo Oscar. Very good. I got you in there. Not Larry. And I heard, who else? The other person I heard in there? KM4LXH. Got you in there. Jimmy, who else is, did I hear anybody else in there? Late check-ins? Any other stations, north, south, east, or west on 10 meters? All right, late check-ins, any place, anywhere before I close the net out. All righty, I'll go backwards then. We had Larry, Jimmy, KM4LXH here in Mount Juliet, and we had over on Percy Priest, we had not Larry at Kilo Oscar 4 Bravo Oscar, and Stan up in over in Lebanon, north of downtown, Kilo Mike 4 Hotel Quebec Echo, and also Kilo Echo 4 Delta Echo Zulu ARRL over in Noreen, and Kilo Bravo 4 Romeo Sierra Mike Glenn over here in Mount Juliet, the southeast corner, I think it is, and Scott in Laverne, Kilo 1 Sierra Papa Delta, and Kilo 4 Alpha Whiskey Echo. We had John over in Bellevue, November 1 4 Delta in man, I forgot it again. Isn't that terrible? In wherever it is. Bellevue. Is that correct? Bellevue? Well, it is now. Anyway, Kilo Mike 4 Yankee Romeo Foxtrot Mike in Bellshire. It isn't Bellevue. It's that other one. It's Kilo Bravo 9 Romeo Kilo in Northwest Wilson, or Mount Juliet, really. And Kilo, and no, that was it. And me, Kilo 4 Papa Whiskey Echo, which brings us to
11.
Yeah, it is 11. Very good. We got to that number correctly. All right, well, very good. I'm closing out this portion of that. Appreciate all the check-ins, and we seem to stay pretty consistent. We had 21, actually 22, I guess I'll say. And if we include ARRL, it'll be 23. I'll have them check in a minute here on the other net before we close it out. It's K4PW going back to 2 meter FM. Thanks a lot, K4PW. Wait a minute, who's the recheck? Oh, wait a minute. I heard Alpha Lima in there. That was Kilo 4 Alpha Lima?
Yes, I wanted to check in there. Kilo 4 Alpha Lima.
Ah, very good. How are you doing tonight?
Not too bad. Just stuck around on 2 meters for just a little bit there, and missed the check in there. But go ahead and check in Kilo 4 Alpha Lima.
Yeah, very good, Alan. Good to hear you in there. That's good. That makes it 12. All righty. Now I'm going over. Is there anybody else who wanted to check in? I'm sorry. Who was that? It was an FAN? I didn't hear that one. Is it Kilo 4 FAX? Kilo November 4. Foxtrot Alpha X-ray. Oh, very good, Otis. I'm glad you're in there. You sound good.
Just getting set up.
All right, very good. Glad you could check in on 10 meters. Fantastic. That was Kilo November 4, Foxtrot Alpha X-ray, and he is in Hendersonville. At least I think that's where he is. Yeah, Kilo November 4, Foxtrot Alpha X-ray. Very good, Otis. And of course, I had Kilo 4 Alpha Lima. He's in there too. He's over there in Watertown area, I believe. Anybody else before we close? Oh yeah, Jimmy, what's up?
What kind of antenna are you on?
I'm on a vertical High gain, it's the SPT 500.
What height is it mounted?
I think right now it's sitting at, I think the base of it's sitting at 10 feet.
Okay, I just wondered because you're, hold on. Okay, you're about F9, maybe 5 dB over, and on FM you're about 60 dB over.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure that's true. Now, if I had it up at 30 feet, I might be doing a little better.
Okay, just wanted a signal check there. Thanks very much. This is Dave for LSA.
All right, very good. I'm going back to FM now. I'll catch you later, Jimmy. You have a good one. K4P then. I'm back. Are you over there, Glenn?
Down here, Paul. KB4RSM.
Yeah, okay, good. Now I can check you on the 2 meter net because I didn't actually close it all down. And Earl, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, Paul. KE4DEZ.
All righty. You became number 23 in our big night of nights here on in a rainy night anyway. And then, of course, we had Glenn was in there too. So, yeah, it was a busy night. With you actually had 20, 21, 20, yeah, 23 in there. So we're doing real well. We had 13 on 10 meters. Let me close out this net and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good time for a wet, soggy Wednesday.